shocking surprise during the eThekwini Municipality Parks, Recreation and Culture's third Social Cohesion Conference at Umhlanga, north of Durban today. Through these conversations, Parks, Recreation and Culture has, in recent times, successfully branded itself as the city's cohesion driver. With the conference room dressed for the occasion, delegates seated and members of the media on standby, all that remains is the session official opening. Mr. Ngobo takes to stage.
We received a directive that we cannot proceed with the conference as planned. And it is therefore, ladies and gentlemen, my deepest regret to apologize firstly to you and honor you for coming here, but and also encourage you not to lose hope in any future endeavors. To members of the media, we will apologize for the inconvenience caused. We know you work with time. Time for you is money, because we have to pay for your airtime. We will, however, have our speakers at your disposal in case you want to engage them about their views on the concept of social cohesion. We will then be able at some point, not necessarily today, engage with your good selves as to our future plans, and if needs be, what actually led to the situation that we're still trying to, at this point, read, analyze, and understand. Lastly, I apologize on behalf of the city. We all have lost face, but through your strength and support, we will again gather, reorganize, and take our country forward. Thank you.
Delegates head for exit, and members of the media a briefing.
This conference for us has become quite a very important milestone in the city. As you will be aware that this is for the third year that we are hosting it. The first one looked into issues of sports, arts and culture, since we know how these things were used before 1994 to divide our people. Apartheid became a living experience because of the manner in which arts, sports and culture were used. So we thought therefore our basic really point of departure was going to be looking into these issues. And the second one looked into the extent to which the democratic government has gone to achieve a socially cohesive society since 1994. And then this year we thought, let's look into Black history. We should not be talking, for instance, about the contributions Black people as a collective made in the reconstruction of South Africa, both before and also 1994. And also, as you know, the project of nation building does not assume that you are just going overnight to have a united non-racial society. You have to proceed from people's experience, the given, the reality. And the reality in South Africa was that people were divided in terms of culture, in terms of gender, in terms of many other things, including, for instance, race. So we had planned this year, and the platform has always been informed about what we want to achieve, and therefore we have to start from these platforms by having the multiplicity of views, people from different cultural backgrounds, political backgrounds, who will come together and without any fear and favor express their views here. So as last year and the 2 other years, we again did the same thing. For instance, we had as diverse a people as, for instance, Dr. Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who graciously accepted our invitation, Professor Sipho Siepe. We also have Andile Mqitane. You have people like Sabelo, Tandukolo Sabelo, and so on and so forth. And all of these people accepted our invitation. Unfortunately, though, because of unforeseen circumstances, I will assume, we then received a directive from the higher offices in our city saying that we cannot proceed with the conference as planned. So where we are right now is that unfortunately, after all the work that has been done, all the preparations, including the activations that we had, that some of you will be aware that we had 4 activations which attracted quite a very diverse group around the city. For instance, there was one that looked into the issues of gays and lesbians, another one that looked into the tensions between Africans and Indians in the city. The other one looked into virginity as a belief among other certain cultural groups. And all of these people have been invited. They are here today and they are going to be participating. But unfortunately, as I'm saying, we will not be in a position to proceed today. But it does not mean the end and the death of these conferences. It has just merely been postponed. Quite soon we'll then make an announcement as to how we'll then proceed and still have a conference that is going to look into the issues, because remember, nation building is not going to be built within a short space of time. We have to constantly and aggressively engage in this project.
You were talking about a directive. Can you just clarify on that? Where did it come from? I know you said from the city, but can you just get clarity on that? And also, as you know that a lot of money has been spent already for this conference, I'm just confused.
You know, those of us who have been involved in these projects before are quite aware, and I've learned from experience that you can't really attach any cost to nation building. It does not cost any money, and it can't be expensive enough for you to say you cannot afford to do it. And we have been facing these programs, and they're still going to be happening, not just only today. It's not the last one. It's going to happen in future again. So you can't be perfect about nation building, but whatever happens, it can remove us from the bigger objective, and the objective here is to bring about a united and non-racial society, and that is what we're going to be achieving. So this today is a minor setback, but at this point we don't actually know what details are that will have moved the city leadership from taking such a decision. But knowing the city's leadership as we do, they do apply themselves really to the situation to the fullest extent for them to be able to read whatever that you may have not necessarily seen at the time of organizing conference. And we are sure once they explain to us as to what happened, we'll understand and we'll want to sympathize basically with them. More especially that they informed us that this is not the end of this project. So those of us who are mandated to implement it are still going to proceed and really achieve this objective.
A sudden media call by Dr. Buthelezi. He presents the previous night's sequence of events, calls between his office and Parks, Recreation and Culture, which brought about the media briefing and an archive of information and support to his conclusion.
At 8 this morning, the city of eThekwini was meant to open the third Social Cohesion Conference on the theme Black History. And some 500 participants were ready to attend together with panelists, facilitators, and speakers. At the unsolicited invitation of the City Council, I was to deliver a 40-minute opening address. But just after 20 hours, after 10 p.m. last night, the city manager contacted the head of the Parks, Creation and Culture Unit, Mrs. Temminkosi Ngobo, giving a directive that he was not to proceed with the event. I received this news 21:30 last night via a phone call from actually someone in Ulundi in my office, who was phoned by a young lady by the name of Mandisa, who said that, who conveyed that message. This is the manager of the Parks, Recreation and Culture Unit. When my office made inquiries to confirm this information, because I phoned my secretary in Cape Town to verify this, we were told quite bizarrely that no reason had been advanced for the directive. I'm left with many questions. This conference, ladies and gentlemen, was postponed once before. As you have seen the two invitations. I initially received an invitation on the 12th of April 2017 to open the conference on the 29th of May. However, when my office called on 12th May to confirm my attendance, we were informed that the conference had been postponed and a letter would be sent with details. I've pursued social cohesion and reconciliation for several decades, and I have much to say on the matter. But apparently, someone higher up in the chain of command doesn't want to hear what Mangosuthu Buthelezi is going to say on the matter. I cannot understand why I was invited in the first place if there is no political will to see things through. I asked the question, what is the point of a conference on social cohesion when those who pull the strings in KwaZulu-Natal are dead set on obstructing reconciliation? There will undoubtedly be some excuse peddled for why this three-day conference couldn't take place. But the fact is that it was cancelled with less than 12 hours notice. The directive came from above, the city council, and no reasons were given. I think the young lady who spoke to a member of my staff in Ulundi had a slip of the tongue because he said it was politicians who were given instruction to them to cancel it. So I'm not a fool, you know. No, I hope I don't even look like one. I've interacted with the ANC leadership in this province for long enough to have noticed a very sad pattern of behavior. In 1989, just before his release from prison, Mr. Mandela wrote to me lamenting the violence between our supporters and asking that we meet immediately upon his release to find a way to stop the carnage that was taking place. And of course, I agreed. But for months after his release, apart from phoning me to thank me for my role in his release, but he seemed to avoid meeting with me. Finally, during a visit to the Eastern Cape, some of the traditional leaders asked Mr. Mandela why we had not yet met, because as our friendship was well known, he answered that ANC leaders, could quote him verbatim, almost throttled him when he tried to meet with me, forbidding him from meeting with me. It was a year before we finally met at the Royal Hotel here in Durban on the 29th of January 1991. We talked, and there we signed a joint agreement for reconciliation and peace, which we released in a joint communique, committing ourselves to share a podium at rallies from then onwards and events in order to show our supporters of our genuine commitment to reconciliation. In other words, rallies of ANC and IFP members. Shortly thereafter, I received an invitation to address a rally at Taylor's Halt near Maritzburg, and I invited Mr. Mandela. I said here is the opportunity for him to join me. He immediately agreed, with alacrity, if I may say. But as the day drew nearer, I heard a rumor that he was no longer going to attend. Dr. Dlomo, who was then our Secretary General, told me. I therefore called Madiba to inquire about this rumor. And he told me that Mr. Harry Kwala, who was the leader of the ANC here in the province and leader of the Communist Party, had brought a bus load of ANC leaders from KwaZulu-Natal, and they descended on Shell House, where their offices were at the time, to come and stop him. In other words, to forbid him going out with me to Taylor's Hall. Thus, the commitment to reconciliation was again aborted. Now, in 1999, with the end of the Government of National Unity, President Mbeki recognized the outstanding issue of reconciliation between us and our people, and invited me to take up the position of Deputy President of South Africa. Before that appointment could be announced, however, ANC leaders in KwaZulu-Natal pressured President Mbeki into planning placing rather an impossible condition on my appointment. In other words, Mr. Mpegi invited me to Oliver Tambo House, where he lived in Pretoria, to offer me the position officially. He then told me that the leaders from KwaZulu-Natal demanded that I must first give KwaZulu-Natal to the ANC. The electorate had voted for the NIFE leadership in the province, and this province was at the time under the NIFE premier. These ANC leaders knew very well that I would not trample democracy by disrespecting the will of the electorate in the province. They knew that I could not just hand over KwaZulu-Natal to them. Thus, my appointment as deputy president was scuppered because I then declined to take that position. But still, I must say, in fairness to Mr. Mpegi, he nevertheless asked me if I could then continue to be a minister under him. We finally agreed that I should continue to be a minister of Home Affairs under his watch. So, to me, it is no coincidence that the most prominent of those leaders was Mr. Jacob Zuma himself. The same Mr. Jacob Zuma who then became deputy president himself. I must say that, as you know, Mr. Joe Matthews of my party was a deputy Minister of Safety and Security, as that department was called at the time, and he worked with Mr. Mufamadi. He had been telling me, when it was an open secret that I was going to be appointed deputy president, that Mr. Mufamadi had told him that they were getting surprised because that Mr. Zuma is now going around talking to leaders of the ANC saying that he wants to take the position himself of deputy president. I relate all these things, ladies and gentlemen, because they show a clear pattern of behavior within the ANC. There are some who generally believe in social cohesion and reconciliation. They are there. I know them. And who are willing to take the necessary steps to achieve it. But there is another group who hold an enormous amount of power, who are determined never to see these old wounds healed. This comes at the cost of social cohesion. So I'm sick to the bottom of my stomach of the games being played with our nation's unity, stability, prosperity, and hope. The people of eThekwini have been disrespected. We deserve to know the reasons, the real reasons, for the sudden cancellation of the conference. Mind you, even His Majesty the King was invited to this conference. We deserve to know how such an enormous waste of money can possibly be justified. And we deserve to know who pulled the strings to bring down the curtain when they heard that Buthelezi was going to speak. I'm determined to see the dialogue of social cohesion continue. I'm therefore making copies available to you, ladies and gentlemen, of the address I would have delivered at the opening of the conference this morning.
Cassia Kulu, CWTV, Durban.